Retirement in the Philippines. Can you afford it? This time we're not talking about money. You're going to want to hear this one, so stick around. Hey guys, before we get started with today's video, just want to ask a favor. If you would, please give the video a like and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. We thank you in advance and we thank all of you who have done so already. So without further ado, let's get to the video. Alright friends, haters, fellow YouTubers, YouTube friends, welcome back to another edition of USA to Philippines Life channel with your host, me, Mike. And today we're talking about retirement in the Philippines. Can you afford it? Done a series which I'm not done with, Can You Afford It? Retirement in the Philippines, and that is based on an extensive, awesome Retirepedia article about retiring in the Philippines. But this video today is a little different. It's a from the hip video. This is not about money, just about life. I'm talking to the guys. This is a man to man, this is a guy thing. Alright? Now, when we talk about affording, can you afford to retire in the Philippines? We always think of money. It's about the money. Can I afford to retire there? And the answer usually is yes. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than retirement here in the States. But let's face it, man, some people aren't in great financial state. So even retirement in the Philippines is a stretch for them. I mean, come on. But what I wanted to talk about today, and I've been mulling this over in my nugget for a little bit. I did that video recently. I'll put the link to the playlist of Can You Afford It? Retirement in the Philippines. The last one was housing and utilities. I misspoke in the beginning of the video and stated that I own property in the Philippines, and then later in the video I stated that foreigners can't own property, and that's exactly true. And I misspoke. I have the best viewers and subscribers, and someone was kind enough to point that out to me shortly after I published the video. Thank you to you. You know who you are. Yes, we can't own property, and I've had this discussion with my wife. I'm trying to get her to come back on the channel. She's very wrapped up in her job, and you know, if you know Filipinas, a lot of them are very private, and they're really not into sharing a lot on social media and whatnot. But it's more about the work aspect with my wife. She's really hands-on with difficult patients, and she's very tired, and her downtime is her downtime. But she does want to come back, and she will come back, and she wants to comment on a lot of the videos. So we may do a recap video with her where she's going to recap some of the and comment on some of the videos that I've done since the last time she's joined me on camera. She's got a lot to say. She would very much like to say it, so I don't know when that's going to be. I don't like to badger her about coming on. I want her to come on when she's ready to come on. So you guys leave in the comments encouraging comments for her to join again. Please do so, because I know she reads the comments from her personal account, so please do. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about today, as that commenter pointed out, which I was aware, foreigners in fact cannot own property in the Philippines. If you are married to a Filipino citizen, my wife says it's conjugal property. It is to a degree. I mean, listen, if something happens to my wife, and you know, we own, I'm going to say we because I signed the papers too, so I'm part of it. But when push comes to shove, it's her, and I know that, and I'm fine with that. And listen, all right, I'm in my mid-50s. I live in New Jersey. My first marriage was more or less a childhood sweetheart. I was with this individual from 16 and a half years old until I was 42. She's the same age as me. We lived that many years seeing each other every day. One day, I don't want to be married to you no more. I went to work. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't a drug addict. Never out of work. Wasn't an abuser. Just, you know, the laws in New Jersey are such that it is appealing for women to just decide at some point, and it's like a midlife crisis thing, where you just decide, and here's what happens, guys, and if you guys are younger guys watching me, maybe this advice will help. If you live in a state like New Jersey, and you're married, and you got kids, school-age kids like I did at the time, so this is where the moms intermingle and talk, okay? All you need is 1 or 2 divorced moms to get in and show the other moms that they're having a great life, and usually they're not. They just talk like they are. And they share that with the other moms, and oftentimes, if you didn't marry the right kind of person for the right reasons, and I go back to my faith-based reasoning on my second approach to marriage, it was faith-based. You know, you don't have that foundation and that value system, that strong value system that you share. You know, it becomes enticing, and I think that, and listen, it's wasn't just me. I saw a lot of guys go through this in this state. Okay, nothing wrong. They were broadside. When you build your life in the USA, the land of opportunity, you have the American dream. You worked hard for it. Okay, and it like just the rug just gets pulled out from under you, and the laws in the state allow it to happen. It allows it to happen. They don't look at the circumstances. Okay, they don't look at the circumstances of why this divorce is happening. What they look at is, how much money do you make, Mr. M? How many kids do you have? And this is how much you're going to pay. And the women know this. And sometimes it's men. Sometimes men. I know a woman who went through this. She was a hard-working professional woman. I know her. She was someone that a colleague at work. And she went through the same exact thing with an ex-husband, and she paid through the nose. So listen, it happens, and you guys are going to comment, whatever. New Jersey's one of the worst places to get divorced. Okay. So what I'm getting at is, I'm well experienced with marriages not working out, and I understand that sometimes they don't. And I understand the value system is different in the Philippines. And I'm really talking to the guys who are married to Filipinas, or are going to get married to Filipinas, because if you're not, and you're just going to go over there and have a girlfriend, you know, get a condo. Buy a condo, or just rent. Just rent a house, rent an apartment, you know. But you got to look at it this way. And here's the thing. We're all getting older. We don't know. We're not guaranteed the next 20 minutes, let alone the next day, week, month, year. You don't know how much time you got left. Okay? So I know we try to build this mountain of wealth, houses, the cars, the investments, and all of that. But in the end, what happens to it all? I had an old gentleman. He was a World War II veteran. I had the pleasure of being around a point in my life very early on. I served in New Guinea, combat wounded 2 times, decorated by General Douglas MacArthur himself. He used to say to me, "Mike, shake the hand that shook MacArthur's." Very honored to have spent time with this gentleman. But he always told me, "Mike, the armored car don't follow the hearse." And for those of you who don't know what a hearse is, that's the car that carries the coffin when you pass away. Okay? So what I'm getting at is this. You know, you get some guys that'll say, "Well, I'm just going to stay single, Mike, and I'm not going to worry because no woman's going to get..." If that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's fine. But there's going to come a time, and that's like kind of a prideful approach at life. I'm going to do it. I'm going to stay in charge, and I'm going to... Listen, you ain't going to do nothing when your health fails and your time comes to check out, okay? You ain't going to do nothing then. It's going to be between you and the good Lord above. And who's around to take care of you when you can't take care of yourself? That's what it comes down to. And went through a period, and the reason I told the story about my first marriage is because I went through the meat grinder emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That was a very, very rough time in my life. And I want to add, too, that I watched my father go through it in the 70s when I was a little boy, when divorce wasn't a popular thing. I watched my old man go through this, all right? So I'm very experienced in these, approaches to life and, protecting your assets and trusting people. And listen, it comes down to this. And I had a Filipina friend. I had maybe mentioned in some earlier videos that through some co-workers and colleagues and brothers that I have who are married to Filipinas, so that was another aspect of my introduction to Filipino culture, was being invited to these houses, these homes, and for parties, and seeing all these Filipinas and Filipinos there. And that was another aspect of me getting acquainted with Filipino culture over the years, which was very awesome. And I love these families. I still keep in touch with them. But there was a mutual friend there, very nice Filipina. I'm still friends with her and her husband. They're great people. But, there was a time when I was at a party there, and I was single, and I'd stopped looking. I wasn't looking to meet any women. And I had it in my mind, I'm just going to stay single, because no woman is going to take what I got anymore. And I thought like that. And she sat me down and she talked to me and she said, Michael, what are you going to do when you get old and you have nobody left to take care of you? Because I have no family here. I got older sisters that live out, and much older. They're 10, and I'm in my mid-50s. My sisters are in their mid-60s and approaching 70. They live on the other side of the country. I got my stepmom here in this state. I really don't have a lot of family. And I really definitely don't have anybody around to take care of me when I get old. And being in the healthcare industry, and my current wife, spent some time in a nursing home, a long-term care facility, we'll call it, before she got her job over where I work. And she saw firsthand how elderly people who worked hard all their lives, did all the right things, had nobody to take care of them when they got older. And they end up in these nursing homes, and when nobody is looking, they're not treated really well. And we know this. And I'm not just talking about personal experience. It's a known thing that people in these long-term care facilities are sometimes not cared for well. We know what happened in COVID in New York State, in New Jersey. A lot of people died. All right? Look it up. Find out what happened with that. Okay, so what I'm getting at is I was at that stage where I said, I'm just going to stay single now, and I'm just going to have fun, and I don't need no woman in my life. And I really thought like that. And I prayed about it, because I'm a man of faith. I walk by faith, not by sight. And I prayed about it. And I came to a place with the good Lord where I said, Lord, if you want me to be single the rest of my life, I accept it. And I did, and I meant that. And I said, if that's what you want me to do, and I spent my time getting to know him. Okay, I spent the time in between my last marriage and meeting my current wife, getting to know him. Spending the time with him. And man, you want to talk about a growing experience? Let me tell you something. This world wants to keep you away from that. And you need that. I'm not going to get into it because it's not that kind of channel. I'm thinking about starting another channel for that. That's as far as I'm going to go with that today. Those of you who have faith, brothers and sisters of faith like me, you're going to know what I'm talking about, and I'll probably hear from you in the comments. And I love you guys, my brothers and sisters. But I got to that place where I was okay with it, with the good Lord. And lo and behold, shortly after that, and I tell the story in some earlier videos, how I met my wife. I don't think it was chance. I think it was divinely orchestrated. But here we are. And to those who go into this idea of Well, you can't own property in the Philippines. You know, you're going to lose it all. And listen, I lost it all here in the United States. All right? You can lose it all anywhere. And if you want to live your life like that, protecting your eggs, that's fine. But where are you going to, the question that you got to ask yourself with that, you got all that dough and possessions and investments, and you're getting older. Who's going to take care of you? You got kids? I hope your kids are going to be around you. If you got kids that are going to take care of you, that's great. Some people have that. Some people have that support system. They have a big family that's going to rally around and take care of him. And that comes back to, can you afford to retire in the Philippines? And I'm not talking about money. Can you afford, if you're one of these people that have a big support system, a big family here in the US or Canada or Australia or England or wherever you're watching me from, in Europe, can you afford to be away from those people who love and care about you? Or are you going to have a plan to go back to where you came from when you get to the age where you can't take care of yourself? Because you got to think about that, because it's going to come. It's as inevitable as the sun rising and setting. You are going to get old, and you are not going to be able to take care of yourself at some point in time. And I'm sure I'm going to get the comments. You know, it's easy to sit home and watch YouTube videos and, you know, put negative comments out there. I get it. I never did that. I've been watching YouTube since it was born. All right? I never once gave a video a thumbs down, and I never once left a negative comment. If I had nothing good to say, I didn't say anything at all. And I certainly didn't put the thumbs down if I didn't like the video. It's the same thing on Facebook. I got a lot of friends with a lot of different views on things. If I see a post I don't like, I don't make a negative comment. I just pass by. I pass it by. But everybody's different, and doing things like that make certain people feel better. I get it. Knock yourself out. Getting back to what we were talking about, can you afford to be apart from your loved ones? Can you afford being away from things, the comforts of the Western life? These are all things you got to think about. So I'm thinking about it. I'm not there yet. I got a half dozen years before I get to the Philippines. And I think about it every day. But I'm set. I want to go. But again, I don't know what the good Lord has in mind for me. I don't know if I'm going to still be here in a half dozen years. I hope so. I hope I am. I'd like to go and live in the Philippines, live out my years there. But I know this. I know my wife and my stepkids, although in the scheme of things, they've been in my life a short time. I love them. I care about them. And if the good Lord, God's going to use my life to bless these kids, they don't have a dad. They need a dad. I came along. And if my presence for a short time in their lives gives them security after I'm gone, and a chance and a step forward, then hey, my life was worth something. You know, it's the way I look at it. It's the way I'm looking at it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure people are going to tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. Hey, listen, I got thick skin. I live in the New York area. I got thick skin. I get beat up every day. I get kicked in the cojones every day. All right, so, you know, some negative commentary on Facebook, on YouTube, or Facebook for that matter, it really just rolls down my back. So if it makes you feel better, go for it, man. But just from the hip today, man, that's what I've been thinking about, this whole thing about, you know, can you afford it? It's not all about money. It's about, can you afford to unplug from your Western life? It's a long way to go over there. Hey, maybe you're well off enough to maintain an address here in the West. I mean, that's ideal. I thought about trying to do that. I don't know if I can afford it. I may. If I can swing it, I may. You know, I don't know. You know, these are all things you got to think about. And again, I'm talking to the guys like myself who aren't there yet. If you're there yet and you've addressed these things that I'm talking about, love to hear from you, and I appreciate and thank the guys that are there already. And some of the videos, they've shared their experiences, how much they're paying, where they are. That's important, and that's the idea behind these videos. It's not for me to come across like I'm a freaking know-it-all, because I'm not. Alright, I'm learning as I go too, and I'm taking you guys along. It's USA to Philippines life. Right now I'm in the USA portion of that. So you guys are coming with me as we go to get to the Philippines part. For the guys who are new to this, who maybe don't have the experience, I really hope that these videos and these talks help you, because it's helping me to think about these things, really think about these things well, because it's a big decision. It's a real big decision to move to another country. And Philippines is a great place to do this. They welcome retirees. You hear about the health care. What are you going to do if you get sick over there? I mean, listen, you know, there's a lot of options. We've talked about those before. I'm going to do another video where we're going to get into that a little bit more. But there's going to come a time when you reach that age where it's not going to be feasible to travel back to the States. You're going to have to rely on the treatment there. You're going to have to rely on the care and the love of your Filipino family that you create, if you create one there. But if you're going to go there and stay single and not have anyone there, can you afford to do that? That's what you got to think about. So that's a shoot from the hip kind of video, a little different. Let me know in the comments if you like it. If you do, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Those of you guys who have subscribed, we really appreciate it. Again, closer to the 500 subscriber mark. That supposedly is going to unlock the community tab. I've been watching another channel that's slightly larger than mine. I did see their community tab was unlocked when they hit 500 subscribers. And for those of you who don't know, if the community tab is unlocked, then that means I can communicate with all of you in between uploads, Facebook style, share photos, and I'm sure you've seen it on other channels. So I'm looking to get to that point, because sometimes, as I've said, I work a full-time job. Sometimes it's hard for me to get the videos out as quickly as I'd like to, but I can still share my thoughts, and you guys can comment, and we can communicate back and forth and have that dialogue in between the videos, and I think that's an awesome thing. So if you haven't subscribed and you're watching and you've been here before, help us out and subscribe today. We really appreciate it, and share the channel with somebody you think might get something out of it. We really greatly appreciate it. So with that, we're going to wrap this video up, and as we always like to say, wherever you are in the world, stay well, stay safe, stay blessed, and we're going to be back real soon with another video. Thank you very much for watching.